Unsigned518. I am here with Michael Gardner, owner of the Bakery Cannabis Dispensary here in Cohoes, New York. And actually, this is really cool for me because we're actually at the dispensary now. So how's it going, Michael?
Very good. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, in this case, it's kind of you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me because I feel so cool getting that exclusive access.
Absolutely.
But so this is like one of the, I've done several cannabis episodes, had cannabis influencers and dispensary owners, just kind of to talk about not necessarily like the state of the business, but your offerings and kind of cannabis in general, and maybe, recommended strains and whatnot. But I guess just to get started, tell us a little bit about the bakery here in Cohoes.
So we're a small family-run business, mom and pop. I'm a local guy, born and raised in this area, and we like to foster that. We've curated a very, very strong menu with very good products. We're very particular about what products land on our menu. We check COAs. COAs are very important. That's going to tell you everything about the product. What's in it?
Certificate of authenticity.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what is it? What does COA stand for?
Certificate of analysis.
And that's like where they get like the different kinds of THCs and like the terps?
Yeah, so terps come through, the THC percentages, CBD, CBG, all your minor cannabinoids, but also more importantly, obviously we care about that stuff, right? But like the most important part for us is mold content, moisture. Is there aspergillus? Is there any other chemicals that they use to flush the product, or is there anything lingering in there that you would consume as the consumer, right? And not a lot of people know that, like we're all used to like, just buying weed off of our buddy back in the day, and you're like, yeah, whatever, we don't know what's in it. We're just like, yeah, 100%. We're just wanna get high, right? And
this smells like cat piss. Yeah. I don't know, whatever, smoke it.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this must be the new strain. Like, I don't know, but that's the important part about like legal cannabis, right? That's like what we've tried to hit home on, and I think maybe other owner operators or other businesses kind of steer away from that or haven't really jumped down that rabbit hole. But I think that's very important, and it needs to be like a statewide thing where like people need to pay attention to it. Right. It's the integrity of the entire market, right? That's the importance of it. Like that's safe. It's safe consumption, right? Like that's the whole point of being legal, right? Because there's no difference. We could just go back to hustling out of backpacks and and buying weed off of our friends. What's the difference, right?
And when it gets like the COA, like when it goes through everything, I mean, it's obviously like an independent tester. They like submit it to something, and it's like a regulated board, and everything is there and tested. And because I was in the fresh fruit. I used to make fresh fruit and vegetable juices that were wholesaled.
Yep.
And we used to have to go through like the whole thing
Third party,
and they tell you everything about your product. And if one thing is fucking wrong,
they just
you're done. And that's like the same thing with this.
Same thing with the state. There's been like a couple debacles where a couple of the testing facilities were caught doing something not necessarily wrong, but weren't doing it right, if you will. I wouldn't want to go too far into it because my lawyer would probably be like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about that stuff for?"
He probably won't hear this.
No, probably. I hope. Well, I probably send it to him. He loves hearing this stuff, but he loves telling me after fact, like, "You probably should have said that. You shouldn't say stuff like that." But he loves that stuff. But for the most part, yes, that's the integrity side of the business, right? Is your COAs. That's the buffer between the grower, the processor, and the retail dispensary and the consumer. Right?
And is there, like I guess floating levels of what's acceptable? Because you were saying you kind of choose the highest tier, but people that may not choose that, they're not necessarily doing anything wrong.
They're not necessarily doing anything wrong, and New York State has some like quirky level like thresholds for mold and moisture content. you know, for I don't want to speak too much on like the number, like the solid number that
Right.
we like our threshold, just because like I don't want to like shoot down or hurt any other brands that aren't meeting those standards. But you know, what New York allows for mold and moisture wouldn't typically be what I would consume.
Right.
And I say that with an open heart, you know, open arms, because listen, we're all here. We're all new to this. We're all
Right.
we're all first timers, so to speak, right, in this space. Growing legally, most of these people that are growing right now that have licenses, this might be their first run. This might not first run growing, but first run legally growing, where
And
it's
sticking
under a
within
microscope.
these fucking regulations that
we're-
are strict.
Yeah, and it's all new to them.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to discourage somebody from reaching that next plateau or growing a better product, right? Or processing a better product. You know, because you never know who's going to come out with the next best thing, right? You know, the brand that you pushed away today might be the brand that you need in a year or 2 years from now, right?
Right.
It's like that.
I never really thought of it that way. That's
Yeah, and listen, these are human beings that we're dealing with. This isn't like you know, the other side of it's like that corporate side, right, where it's just like a number on a piece of paper, right? But that's not us here. That's like, these are people. These are people's lives. These are farmers, basically.
Right.
Like, you know, like these are people, and a lot of these people have put their entire livelihoods on the line. You know, they've leveraged houses or leveraged other businesses. They've leveraged, you know, themselves personally with loans, and you know, like that's why I always say, like, even if we're not carrying it or selling it right now, like I wouldn't want to discourage somebody from buying something from somebody else,
Right.
Because I never want anybody to get hurt, right? I don't want other people to go out of business. I don't want people to, you know, I just don't want to see people get hurt. That's all, you know. Not saying that, you know, we would never sell your product. It's just like right now, it's just not right. It's not timing, right? It's right. It's not the right time.
Yeah, and that's like a good way of looking at it too, with everybody kind of starting at the same level. Because
Yeah.
whether you're an experienced grower or not,
Yeah.
these regulations are new.
Yeah.
I mean, they're within the last couple of years, and they're like, if I'm not wrong, they're
Forever
changing constantly,
forever
right?
changing. You know, I just got an email a few weeks ago that, you know, passed down new regulations and things are changing. And, you know, I almost like I immediately have to get on the phone with my lawyer, because like I read this stuff and I'm like, yeah, I kind of get this, but like, what's that really mean for me in my
right.
day-to-day business, right? And then he'll break it down for me and such. But forever changing, the regulations are forever changing. And then the other side of things is, and I don't want to go too far into it, but the other side is like OCM, like these are human beings too, right? This is the first time they're here
Right.
too, right? So they're
They're
created
having to create regulations.
basically on the fly. Like they came up with this like this outline and like this plan. There was very good people that were part of that process to get us to where we are now. But like, if you're not evolving and changing, like you're not growing, right?
Right.
Essentially, like no pun intended.
No
but
pun intended.
you know, like that's the other side of it too. That other people they'll probably you know ridicule me and try to crucify me for this, but like they're human beings. OCM is they're human beings too. They're not you know, I've had several interactions with them. I don't think they're bad people, right? I think they're trying to do their best, just like everybody else. And again, they're humans, right? Human beings make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and they're just trying to do the best that they can. So, you know, just like the grower is, just like the retailer is, just like the bud tender is, just like the sales guy is, just like you with your podcast. We're all
Right.
trying to do the best we can.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we say things we shouldn't, or do things we shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, and then hindsight's always 20/20, right? So you're like, yeah, probably should have done that.
But the best thing, you know, not to get off topic, but the best thing about that is I've always found that whenever I make a mistake, the very first thing I do is own up to it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And that's the best way to do it.
Because you like, I'm not fucking fooling anybody. Like, if I make a mistake, you go, "Oh, I didn't make a mistake."
Yeah.
It's like then I
Yeah.
just look like an idiot. Like everybody
I try
knows
to
I fucked up.
practice that with my staff, my family, you know, and my peers too. like if I mess up or I do something that I probably shouldn't have did, like I want to own it immediately.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't mean that I expect your forgiveness or your sympathy right away. I just like me as a human being, I just want to own up to it.
You
so you
to know that I know that I fucked up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
like,
exactly.
I know I fucked up.
Yeah.
I know that it affected you in a negative way, and just do what you want with that info.
Exactly. I think for the state it's probably a little bit different, right? 'Cause they got a lot of other stuff to worry about. But like, that's I think for the state it's a lot different. But again, we're only human.
Right.
We're only human.
Now, so with the like regulations and like more specifically like with the science behind it, I've learned so much in the last like 2, like THCA and like
all the minor cannabinoids.
Yeah. And is it true? Because I was talking with someone else like that was saying that because of that, scientists can distinguish all the different THCs, and that's how they can like take the sleepy component out of one and put it in the other.
So they've been able to like on a molecular level, I would say, like kind of like, I don't know, I'm like Bill Nye the Science Guy now, but like compared to like what we used to do with weed, like we used to just grow it, if sometimes you turn it into like hash and you're like, or you'd grow it longer, and like the longer you grew it, kind of like you'd bring
purple
out like you get the purple, but it also bring out almost like a sleepy effect, right? Like the longer you flush, the longer you grew it out, like you'd get like almost like the indica feeling, right? You'd get like a sleepy feeling. Like we didn't really know what we were doing, right? Now this is like down to like they got scientists involved, people with like white scientist coats, and like they can pull things apart, and now they're creating products that are specifically designed for sleep, that specifically have a minor cannabinoid CBN in it,
and that won't have like a euphoric effect. Like you can get gummies and stuff that'll just make you kind of sleepy, or like will they still have
so on this market? Not per se, because it's all going to have THC, right?
Gotcha.
Like the hemp market, like the CBD market, I think you would find some of those products more on the shelves there because they don't have the THC, which is the euphoric component, right?
It's my favorite part.
Of course. That's why most people smoke or consume, it's because they want a little bit of an escape, right? Or level off.
Yeah,
a lot of people,
me.
You need to
keep that microdose all day. Nice and level.
Exactly. You got to level off. For the we do, speaking of microdosing though, we do offer products that have lower levels of THC, very, very low levels of THC, and higher amounts of either CBD or CBN. So you're not going to get as much of the high feeling or like the euphoric feeling. You're going to get more of the medicinal.
Right. But it'll still be there, but just kind of mild.
Yeah, because again, we're selling THC products.
Right.
So like everything that we carry has THC in it. That is the component that's going to drive that euphoric feeling.
But the CBD basically has, no. Or is there still like some?
I wouldn't say necessarily like a
I don't even know like what
feeling.
the Delta, like what's like the Delta 9 and the CBD and those things. Like
I don't really know too much about that stuff.
Good, that tells me all I need to know.
Yeah, I but what I will say is, be careful buying stuff like that.
I would never
like synthetically made.
I would fucking never buy that.
The CBD that we carry, I wouldn't necessarily say it gets you high. It's the THC, right? If you went to like a CBD shop, I would have to assume that you're probably not going to get high from that product. It's more for like pain, inflammation, maybe to knock off the edge for like anxiety.
And that's like a kind of legal everywhere type of...
Yeah, like so you can get that in CBD shops pretty much across the state. I think for the most part, it's legal in most states, but not all. There's still some red states where...
Sure.
And red, no pun intended, just
Gotcha.
red meaning they don't allow hemp or CBD or cannabis, not the political party. But
same.
Yeah, could be. My lawyer would probably tell me you probably shouldn't talk about any of that.
You're right.
But that's pretty much it about the CBD. We carry products that will get you high, but also maybe not get you high, and more of like give you like that medicinal benefits.
Gotcha. So, speaking of products, I guess, since this is, we want to put a spotlight on the bakery
Yeah.
and kind of what you carry and some of the products, I guess maybe give us a little bit of the best sellers or like staff favorites.
Yeah, so we've taken a strong we put a strong emphasis on micro businesses here at the bakery. We carry, I don't even know if we're the largest selection of micros in the state. I don't know. We're a small dispensary, so there could be other dispensaries that carry a lot more than us. But we focus on the micros. We showcase the micros. The moment you walk into our store, you're going to see the smaller companies, the smaller mom and pops, the 2, the 3, the 4-man operations. We got a guy that's operating in the state. He's a 2-man show.
Wow.
MVP. Great flour, great product. He's a great dude, great human being. And they're a 2-man show. And they're producing some of the best weed in the state. My man Phil at Lead Farmer is producing top shelf, and we had talked before we got on the mic about the doink that was coming out.
Yeah.
It's like a 3.5 gram joint with a glass tip, and like to see a guy like him putting out a product as good as they're putting out, and then to put out specialty products is special in my eyes. It's that's what we're here for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's why, and we've kind of put people over profits, if you sort of speak. You know what I mean? If you will. Man, there's so many I could name. I don't really want to single anybody out. Like Oasis is doing good things. He's been growing weed a long time. One Slice is doing great. Dreamin' Tree Farm, Lisa, she started pressing all her stuff for rosin. Stuff is amazing.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about, like the difference between like live rosin and diamonds, because again, as I'm fucking 52 years old and I've been smoking pretty much every day since I was a teenager. And then there's all these things that I'm like, am I really that old that I don't know about weed? Like, what is rosin versus diamonds?
So it's about how they process it in the beginning and the end, right? So typically diamonds are going to have solvents in them. There's going to be an extraction method, whether it be CO2 or I don't know if they use ethanol anymore.
Wasn't like butane a
so
thing?
Butane was the thing back in the day with the glass tubes and you'd
butane forced.
Speaking of which, I'm looking at the butane bottles right there. It's crazy you said that. So that filtered the Ector signatures. That's big box of butane.
Nice.
So typically you would take one of those for butane, for BHO. That's what you called it, right? And you take a glass tube and you'd press it down, you'd push it through, and then whatever came out. The problem with that is you were getting high off the product, but you were probably also getting high off the butane you were smoking.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference with rosin. It's solventless, right?
Okay.
So it's flash frozen right from harvest, and then it's frozen to a certain degree, and then they press it, right? And it's solventless. They don't have to remove anything from the product so that you can consume it.
Because I've seen that word, solventless.
Solventless, yeah. So typically, like, and I don't want to throw shade at anybody that's using CO2 or anything like that. But your resins, your diamonds, you cured, your live resin, that type of stuff. Typically, there's usually a solvent that's used,
and
right?
they add it and then try to pull it away.
So, that's how they extract the oil, right? That's what they're using to extract the oil. Whereas, as far as like solventless rosin is you're just flash freezing it and pressing it, basically. In short, without getting into too much detail, we could be here all day. I can tell you meticulously what the process is, but. For the everyday consumer and the person that's listening to this, it's typically when you see the word solventless, I want you to associate that with maybe organic, right?
Or like unprocessed.
Unprocessed, yeah, that's a better word, I guess. Unprocessed, but it is a process, right? But unprocessed, I think, is a better way to look at it. And a cleaner product, right? So you're not getting any of the leftovers, the residuals, right? You're not consuming any of the residuals or the leftovers. Typically, it's going to be a different high too, from resin to or diamonds and rosin. Rosin's going to be more of like I would say like a full spectrum cleaner high. Most people describe it as head clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, like seeing clearly again.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like I can see everything now. I can see smells almost, you know what I mean? Like that type of clarity. Overall, I'd say probably a better product, but like I don't want to like steer people away from smoking resin or anything like that, right? Because there's a spot on the shelf for everybody, and just like the car business, there's a behind for every seat, right?
Right.
So
yeah, and I never want to look at things like in a black or white because there's so many shades.
There's a lot of gray.
There's something for everybody.
There's a lot of gray,
and I really like how you're just like preaching community, and you're like you keep saying you don't want to throw shade on anybody, you don't want to put anybody down. It's doing
not what we're here for.
And like that's what's resonating with me is that there is always room for everybody in everything, and the people that turn things into a fucking competition usually don't last. Yeah,
there's healthy competition, right?
Yeah. I mean, competition,
and I think that's
like
what
a tennis game.
Like that's what we've created here.
When no matter who wins, you're like, good game, that was cool.
It's like I think that's what we've created with our menu and our space here is almost like a healthy competition,
right?
Some people and not saying war. Like there's really good weed right now that's out and that we don't carry right now, and that's for other reasons though. That's like. Sometimes when you bring brands in, you don't want them to cannibalize the brands that you're already showcasing, right? So that's a very hard like road to navigate as like the owner and the buyer of the business, because like a lot of these companies overlap, right? A lot of them are growing the same strains. So that's another thing you have to pay attention to.
It's not saying anything about the product.
No,
it's saying
not.
Like that.
And here's the thing: what do we got? 300 something dispensaries right now. Like there's room. There's room for all of us, and. I just hope in the near future that everybody that owns a dispensary or is the buyer for dispensaries gives those micros a second look, gives the people behind those companies a second look, even if the first time around the flower wasn't that great. Like don't shun them for it, because they're all learning too. I would love to see, this is my vision for the whole industry as a whole, is micro dispensaries just dominating the state. And the reason why is because they're New York, right? That's right. New York. They're New York grown. They're New York bred. Most of these guys are from this area. Like they've grown weed in this area for decades. They're generational talent, right? And like in other states, this wasn't an opportunity for these guys. Like myself, like in other states, it wasn't an opportunity for me to own a dispensary, right? And I was given the opportunity here, and I think it's only right that you carry that on, right? Like we're like the example. That's what we're trying to lead by example. But I would hope that my neighbor down the street says, "What are they doing? Maybe I should start doing a little bit of what they're doing," right? And because if you only sell stuff that's from this state and you're not selling white labeled brands or people from out of the area, you almost push them out, right? They can't exist. Like if you're not selling their products, right? And this goes for ROs or MSOs too, that I'm not going to say that they're bad for the industry. I just don't think that what's the right word to say that? I don't want to get in trouble, but I'll steer off of that a little bit. I think if everybody kind of paid attention a little bit more to the micro dispensaries and the people behind that, I think our space, our market would benefit. And I think the end goal would be the consumer would benefit more too. The consumer is going to get a better product, something that's touched the farmer's hands, something where love, passion, and dedication was put into play rather than, heavy salts and scientists basically, right?
And bulk
like
and just
corporation, corporate cannabis, like corporate cannabis, and
it's
like
a thing.
It's so much a thing, down to the fact of if New York is not careful, we will follow in the same footsteps as neighboring states. and find ourselves with guys like me, and I'm not exempt from this, and neither is the other guys that own card licenses. You will find yourself in a position where you don't have a leg to stand on anymore, right? You almost get pushed out by the bigger corporate companies, and it's like. That's like the American way, right? That's like big bank take little bank type of thing. But like we're in a unique position where we could stop that from happening. You can at least slow it down to a point where guys like me and other individuals that are small operators or small processors or growers can withstand the storm, right? Because we haven't experienced the storm yet. New York as a whole, OCM and the state and the regulations and the people in power have done a pretty good job at keeping that at bay, right? With some of the regulations, but like they can't keep them. They can't hold off the wolves forever, right? They can't hold off the vultures forever, right? There's only so many fences that you can put up before somebody comes along and cuts a little piece in, and then before you know it, it's a bigger hole and everything's coming through, right? But we're, like I said, we're in a unique position, and I think if more dispensary owners took notice to that, and maybe put a little bit more emphasis on micro dispensaries or just smaller companies, just New York companies in general, like I think they would be surprised at the feedback from the consumer, number one, and the feedback from their peers.
Right. It's like, I mean, in almost anything, like it sounds like you're talking about creating a community, and like when you create a community, that's what defends you from the fucking things that are trying to come in. It's because you're like, no, we're a community. You can't touch us. Like,
it's like strength in numbers, power to the people, right? That's essentially what it is. Without getting like too like political, because like I don't ever want to be like a freedom fighter or anything like that. I don't want to be like I don't want to be labeled as that. I just I'm passionate about what we're doing here. And I think when you walk into our place, you'll notice that. You'll notice that every bud tender is very passionate about it. They're proud to be selling what they're selling. Right. And I'm not saying that other places when you walk in, they're not proud. I'm just saying that we're very proud.
Right.
We're very proud of our menu, very proud of our vendor choices, very proud of our partners, I would say, vendor partners. Like we treat every vendor that we bring on as almost like a partnership. Like we're in this together. Like I can't do this without you, and essentially you can't do this without me in a sense, right? Like I'm sure you could go to other dispensaries, but like, we're partners, right? You know what I mean? Like your brand and your product is a direct reflection of me, and vice versa. I am a direct reflection of you.
Yeah, and your success is my success.
Exactly.
And my success is your
and that's
success,
how you build a strong community,
absolutely.
And I come from an area where there was a sense of strong community, and that's translated into my later years, and I just want to, that feeling that I always felt, a part of something, I just want to resonate that and make people feel that same feeling, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, Michael, this was a fantastic conversation. Like I could fucking go.
We
on
could be here
for
forever,
hours and hours. But I think we'll wrap it up. But before we do, is there like anything that you want to add about the bakery, about the business to kind of let people know how cool the spot it is?
Brands that we would be proud of, I guess, right, would be the Collector, Sensei, I think I said Oasis, MVP, two-man operation, putting out some of the best flour in the state right now, One Slice, Lead Farmer, my man Phil over at Lead Farmer. I think we talked about the Doink before we were on the microphone. It's like a 3.5 gram joint, with a glass tip. I mean, it's real special to see guys like that are doing very well and then put out special products like that. One of my favorite white label brands, putting out some great product. He's got a great brand. My man Paulie from Breakfast Connections. There's so many to rattle off. I could be here all day. I mean, we're so proud of every person on our menu. Every piece is designed to produce a great quality product, right? And a great quality customer experience. A couple more brands that probably deserve some spotlight. Rolling Hills Wellness, putting out some good sour strains, and 518 Hollow, very local to us. not too far from us. They're bread and butter, placed at the Growers Cup. And like rosin brands, like I said, Dreamin' Tree Farm, Lisa, she's very good. Trout & Co., New Roots. New Roots won a couple awards at the Grower Showcase too. And Circle Hill, they're putting out some of the best rosin in the state right now. And I know we touched on a little bit with rosin and what that is, but yeah, I would say those are probably the best brands that we're carrying right now. And again, everybody we carry is good. So we have a carefully curated menu, and anybody that stops in will be pleasantly surprised and pleased with what they pick up from here. And I want to hit home on one more thing before we get off. I have an amazing staff. They mean the world to me on a personal level and a business level. I always say this to them, they're rock stars, right? They're rock stars in this space. They do a great job, and I just want them to know when they're listening to this that I love them very much, and I couldn't do it without them. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, well, he is Michael Gardner of the Bakery Dispensary. I am Andy Scullin. This is Unsigned518. I'll see you on the road. Unsigned518 is produced and hosted by me, Andy Scullin. New episodes are available every week wherever you stream podcasts. If you would like to help support the show, please like and subscribe wherever you are listening. Or you could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/unsigned518. If you would like to advertise on the show, send me an email at unsigned518@gmail.com. And to be a guest on the show, reach out to me through Instagram at unsigned518. Take care of one another, and I'll see you next week.